Concerns are now growing over election security as the North Carolina Board of Election reports 16 incidents of suspected voter intimidation. The American election system has endured unprecedented pressure in recent years, from foreign interference to the January 6th insurrection and now poll worker shortages. Let's bring in ABC News contributor and former White House Homeland Security Advisor Tom Bossert and Michael Waldman, president of the Brennan Center for Justice, for more on this. Thank you both for joining us. Michael, there are essentially 50 different elections taking place across the United States, each with their own rules and their own safeguards. How does that sort of local nature of the way we do elections in this country impact election security and integrity?
Well, it's a great question, one that goes back to the very beginning of the country, and it's actually not 50. It's many more than that, because counties are the ones who really run these elections. The fact is, though, across the country, voter intimidation is illegal. Intimidation of poll workers and election workers is illegal. There are even federal monitors out in a number of states. And the good news is, even with the reported incidents you described, about 40 million people have voted already. And by and large, it's been pretty calm, pretty safe, like any other election year, despite all the claims and cries of misconduct and all the threats.
Now, Tom, there are nearly 200 Republicans on the ballot in 40 states who falsely call President Biden's win illegitimate. How has that impacted election security for these midterms?
Well, election security ends up, in a worse place, because these intimidation efforts are clearly tied to people who believe in their core that something's been amiss. And of course, then they go out and feel as if they're standing up for the righteous position of democracy, when in fact what they're doing is threatening it. So lies always lead to bad actions, and misinformed people always lead to dangerous situations. But really, on the security question, the big question is whether the short-term benefit that some of the political folks that foment these lies will end up enjoying is what they expect in the short run. We see some people thinking that perhaps it will end up suppressing the vote in some Republican areas because they think, oh, well, the whole system's rigged, why bother? And then we see other indications that the long view, the golden rule view, might end up coming back around to biting some of these candidates. Because remember, whoever wins in this election ends up being the officials in power come next election, and we have elections every 2 years. So I think the security of this election, to Michael's point, is by and large strong and by and large good. But we do have to keep an eye on these edge incidents, and any attempt to physically intimidate people is unacceptable. I have it on all sorts of good authorities that most of our police forces across the country are on high alert. Dispatches are on high alert, and at level 1, everyone is on community watch, and individuals are feeling very empowered to go and demand their access to their polling place.
So, Michael, given the data you have at your disposal, what do you say to people who are legitimately concerned that there's fraud in these elections and maybe their vote won't count? And how can, in some cases, the threats that come from that fear impact not only these elections, but future elections?
Well, we saw in 2020, and we've seen all along, that these elections are very secure. They're very accurate. Every court that looked at it in 2020 said, as the Department of Homeland Security under President Trump confirmed, it was the most secure election in American history. But what is new, as my colleague has just said, is we now have tens of millions of people who believe that the election was stolen. The risk we have now is that if candidates lose fair and square today, they're going to scream and claim and screech that there was misconduct and they didn't really lose. And we worry that some of them will have their hands on the levers of power. I'm more nervous about tomorrow than I am about today.
All right, Tom and Michael, thank you both. We appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.